Is it okay for kids to be vegan?
Yes, it is. And we see that from the British Dietetic Association, the NHS. And Paula, you were absolutely right before when you said that this study showed that kids that are vegan could be skinnier and lower weight than meat-eating kids, but all still within normal ranges. And those differences diminished even further when we account for good diet quality. And the authors of the study said a well-planned and supplemented vegan diet can really support healthy growth in children.
But is it much harder to create a healthy vegan diet to, what we would consider a normal diet in this country?
Well, any diet for children or adults needs to be well planned, and we really lack nutrition education across the board in this country and many countries. So yes, you need to be careful, but I'd argue that you need to be careful with any diet. We know, for example, that only about 1 in 5 children are even getting 5 pieces of fruit and veg a day. They're hugely deficient in fibre. So there's so many changes that need to be made across the board.
But I suppose in this study, it suggests that we need to supplement a child's diet. I'm just thinking, if you have to supplement a child's diet, it probably means the diet isn't adequate enough. Would you say that's correct?
Not necessarily. So when it comes to something like B12, because of our farming sanitation practices, which are so important, that makes it pretty much impossible to get B12 from plants. But originally, that's where cows got plants. They got it from the grass. And even animals are supplemented with B12. And we know that fortified foods and supplements are really, really helpful and healthy to support our diets and lives. So some supplementation is absolutely necessary. And the science shows it can keep us really healthy.
Vanessa, thank you. We're going to go to the calls now, so stay with us. Nina from Lincolnshire, where do you stand when it comes to raising kids as vegan?
I'm raising 2 vegan kids myself. I have 2 boys, one is 8 and the other is 2.5. And I've also been vegan myself for 24 years. I will add that a caveat to that is I used to compete in amateur boxing, so I was doing that as a vegan as well. So wow. Nutrition is very important to me.
Have you found that your son, because part of this is about the kids' growth, have you found your children to be smaller than their classmates?
No, my oldest is actually one of the tallest in the class, and he's actually the youngest in the year group as well. So that's not my experience. No,
and that is just one child, but absolutely. And are you supplementing? Do you give your child supplements as well as their diet?
NHS England recommend that all children are supplemented for vitamin D anyway, which I do. And yes, I do give them B12 because it is hard to get from a vegan diet. But I don't supplement much outside of that because I make sure they eat properly.
Can I also ask parent to parent here, because I have a 3-year-old, so not too far away from your 2-year-old. And my thoughts around food is, I want to give them a very healthy diet, but I also don't want to have them completely out of whack from the rest of their peers. Do you find your children feel left out at all being vegans? If they go to parties, for example, and there's burgers on offer, or has there been any issues with that?
I don't think so anymore these days. Everywhere has vegan options. We were at a children's party yesterday and they made my son a vegan pizza, which was very nice of them. But not really. I mean, my son, he likes eating fruit and vegetables. Like, he's very into what he eats, and he doesn't like ultra processed food. So, tremendous. I mean, I'm quite lucky, I guess, in that regard.
You've done a great job there. So he doesn't feel left out in any way?
Not at all, no.
Great. Nina, thank you very much.
Can I just ask, Nina, why have you decided your children will be vegan? What's the main reason? Do you think meat is poisonous?
I grew up on a farm, so I know where my food comes from, and I gave up eating meat myself when I was 7 years old because I didn't want to be part of the process of eating my friends, and I've always stuck to that. And I don't want to spend money on meat products because I don't want to finance the meat industry. And my children are perfectly happy to do the same. If, when they get older, they choose to eat meat themselves, that is completely on them. But sort of while they're this age, it's sort of I'm the one who's paying the bills.
Yeah, and you're the one that's cooking the food as well. Nina, thank you very much for your call. Interestingly, I went vegetarian by spending too much time on farms as well. Anita from South Yorkshire, what's your view on this?
I just find it strange that, I mean, I'm a chef by trade, and vegans are a chef's worst nightmare. They want to eat something that looks like a bit of chicken, but they'll not touch. It's more processed.
Yeah, Anita, that is. I personally don't like the alternatives to meat. I prefer to eat actual vegetables. So that is sometimes, but not for all of them. Not for every vegan.
But it's like, well, if they're against animal cruelty and all like that, and they're walking around with leather shoes on.
Okay, now you're just arguing against the morality of being vegan rather than the nutritional value it brings to our children. And you say they're the hardest people to cook for, but you've got allergies you have to look out for. There are lots of things that make cooking for somebody difficult. I'm sure.
Yeah, but you didn't see caveman running about fighting with dinosaurs for the plants, did you?
Yeah, I know you didn't see dinosaurs running around with peanut allergies either. But we are a community and we look after each other. Don't we? Anita? I think I've lost you. All right, thank you very much for your call. I appreciate the difficulties of cooking for people with different requirements. Janky from Middlesex, what's your view?
Hi, I'm a GP and I'm a lifelong vegetarian. I'm pretty interested in nutrition. I have 3 children.
And one of them's with you, looking for you, it would say.
I think it's entirely possible to have a very healthy vegan diet if you're researched about the adequate nutrition. But it's equally possible to have a meat eating diet that's very poorly nourished with the ultra processed food that's available. You can't get dietary fiber from meat, so that really inherently involves plant-based foods. And if you've got a largely plant-based diet, you can get adequate protein, you can get adequate fiber, and a lot of your vitamins and minerals. You can't get a lot of vitamin D from diet, so that does have to be supplemented. And like the lady said previously, vitamin B12 is one that should be supplemented if you are going to raise them vegan. But I don't think it's immoral or anything like that. You just need to be well educated about what you're feeding your children.
Janky, what would you say to what Janky said there, Mike, that actually you can have a really unhealthy meat-eating diet if you're not careful too? A diet takes educating yourself on what's good for you, regardless of what diet you pick.
I totally agree, but that's one of my points about the vegan diet. I think that children miss out on so many things. As I said earlier, we were talking about vitamin D, iron, omega-3s. So a parent's responsibility is to put that into a vegan diet, and that's a huge responsibility. And, I'd be astonished if every parent was that careful about their children's diet without meat in it, whereas meat, in my view, is good, not bad. It doesn't poison you, and I think it's essential for growing up.
I'll give the last word to you then, Vanessa. What would you say to that Mike's just said? We're missing lots of things in vegan diets that come from meat. Are they easy to get? Iron, what other things did you mention?
Vitamin D, iron, and
vitamin
omega-3s.
D and B12 we've mentioned, but omega-3s, there you go. Omega-3s and iron, are they very hard to find elsewhere?
They're not hard to find elsewhere if you know where to get them. It can be easier to take an omega-3 supplement, iron that you can get, especially from things like leafy greens. And that's about having a real variety of plant-based whole foods. But we also know that having a plant-forward or plant-based way of eating can really reduce the risk of lifestyle disease, can help our gut health, can even help our cognitive performance. And a lot of the meat-eating kids are missing out on other things like fiber and folate. We know we have a childhood obesity issue. So it's important on any diet to make sure it's well planned. But it really is this myth that vegans are missing out on a lot. And everything that you can get from meat, you can get from plant-based food and a bit of supplementation when it comes to things like B12.
All right, Vanessa, thank you very much for your time on that. We're going to have to draw that to a